Okay, you're good.
All right. Well, you guys get to spend another Wednesday night with us. I know you guys feel so blessed. Yep. Extremely. I know I do, sitting up here with all my ladies over here are beautiful. All my boos. These is all my boos, right? My boo bears, my honey boos, all that. First of all, thank you guys for joining the Remnant Outreach, the Women's Night for Remnant Outreach. I had to think about that for a minute because I have some things on my mind. And first of all, we do want to say all praises to the one and only Most High God. We just praise you, Father. And we thank you right now for your many blessings to come. Thank you for the gathering of the remnant, your people, the 1/3, who you said will make it. And I thank the Holy Ghost for everything, right? I thank him for the hidden doctrine. I thank him for being here for us in our falls. I thank him for his discipline because that is love. And I just thank him, period, you know. And I want to say that in the mighty Yahweh's name, okay? The name that he puts over everything. So we want to start off with that. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. Our talk tonight was what, Tanya?
Are you ready to be a wife?
Are you ready to be a wife? And mind you, when you hear us speaking tonight, when we're talking, some of us may go backwards. Some of us may talk from where they're at right now. Some people may mix it. But what I do say and what I do love you to do is please bring your whole mind. And another thing I would like you to do is, because this is remnant talk, this is the relief doctrine, this is an understanding coming from indoctrination into your culture. And we call it our culture. We are not Christians. We are the descendants of Abraham. We are not Gentiles. We are Israelites. And that's the point and where we're coming from to you. And when we talk to you, every time we come to you, that's where we're coming from. So I don't know if anybody had to speak, but I think I might start off with this. The other night, the Holy Ghost gave me a dream. And sometimes he works with me and he'll give me like a word. Then he'll give me a dream, or he'll give me a dream and then he'll give me a word. And in this dream, I was in this like prestigious college. Bring your whole mind, okay? Sometimes you got to wait till the very end to get understanding. And if you don't get it then, go get in the other classes because you won't get it. But if you intently listen, bring your whole mind, the mind that the Most High is trying to get you to use, you'll get it if you really want it. So in this dream, I was in this prestigious college. And we've had dreams like this before, well, my husband has. But this one was quite different because he was trying to show me something. And in this dream, everything was just flowing. I was about to use an old word, but I ain't gonna do that. Everything was just flowing and it was fine and dandy, right? Everything was good, like my dorm, the people, it seemed like I had knew them forever. I did not see one black person though. That's one thing I'm just realizing right now. I did not see one black person but me. Yeah, I'm black. I didn't see one other black person, right? Everybody else was white. I remember the people being so nice and they were taking me around, showing me different areas on the campus, and I was going everywhere. And then they took me to like this one room. It was like a counselor's office. And then they were like, "Oh, come over here. We have treats." And I was like, "Oh," they said like desserts and stuff in this room. And so I went over there and I was like, "Oh my God, they have everything here." Now, you know, women love treats. I'm just like, I'm in heaven because every chocolate, every type of treat was in this room. You guys, I was like, okay, something, after a minute, something wasn't setting right with me. Plus, everything was free. That's what I noticed too. Everything was free. And I was like, okay, well, that's a blessing. I could just come and get free treats and everything whenever I want to. Okay. But then it still felt weird because it was something that I wasn't used to, right? I wasn't used to everybody being nice, everybody, pretty much flowing on one accord, and and everything being free. And everybody was kind of operating the same, right? They had the same spirit and everything. And I was like, okay, but there was something about these treats that I just couldn't grasp. Because remember, I was like, it's hard for me to believe that all this stuff is free. So, people are just happy. They're like getting these little baggies and they're like, I'm going to get this kind, that kind. This one is good. They were saying, try that one. But they weren't saying, don't eat too many, right? So then after I got what I wanted there, and I just picked out a couple of things because usually I might be greedy and just get some and save some for later, but I didn't do that. I just grabbed a couple and I had ate one right there because the person I was with, whom I did not know, was telling me to try one because they're so good. They were just trying to get me to try one so bad. And I was like, okay. So I eat one and I'm not tripping and I'm like, oh my God, that thing was delicious. And I was like, oh, say I grab two more and I put them in the thing and I go. And mind you, the whole time I was feeling a little awkward about it because they were so insistent. And so I walk out of there. I get around the corner to the stairs and I'm realizing that I'm high. I am realizing that they put some stuff in these treats for me to be high and comply is what I got in the dream, right? But I remember trying to walk up some stairs and I was like, oh my God, they put something in these treats. That's why they was free. That's why they was all on one accord. They was all happy and all this kind of stuff, right? So in the dream, I said, I know I'm not going to make it up these stairs because I felt like I was going to pass out to the point of where I could be taken advantage of. So in my mind, I was like, let me get back downstairs to the counselor and let them know. But I felt like I couldn't say nothing because I couldn't let them know that I wasn't compliant, right? So when I went back downstairs, I said, I'm going to go sit in this chair that I was sitting in before and just try to let this thing wear off. So when I woke up, I was like thinking about it, and the Holy Ghost was giving it to me. And the word he gave me was that we in the not we, but in the indoctrination, you are institutionalized. And we only look at institutionalization as being locked up in prison or something, right? Because that's what they've sold us. The indoctrination has sold us that being institutionalized is when you're in prison, because they don't want you to know that you are institutionalized right now, right? And I was like, dang, Holy Ghost. So when he showed me the college, he was saying that even that is institutionalized. Because when you go there, you're thinking that you're going there to learn something that don't nobody else know. That's so prestigious. But what you don't know is that that institutionalism was produced by the very people who are teaching us the indoctrination, right? But they're trying to tell you that you're going to be smarter, you're going to be greater, you're going to be all these things. Yes, you are. Why? Why do they have those colleges to teach you to comply and for all of you to be exactly the same as each and every of the other people? Because when I was there, everybody was the same and they were happy. They wanted it. They were being fed the same thing. They were high off the fact that they thought that their prestige was something that they got on their own. Like, this is something I learned, this is something I know, this is something I'm doing, right? To make you feel more special than the other people who are what? Locked up, institutionalized. But it's all purpose, because your institutionalization is going to be utilized by the very person who has indoctrinated you. So it's purpose. It's a plan behind you going to college and you learning everything they want you to learn so that they can utilize that labor, right? So go ahead, go to college, learn everything we want you to learn. Let's get the best, because this institution over here is going to be used for us. That institution over there is going to be used for that. And we might not be able to use that, but you still going to be a consumer. You still going to buy what we make. You still going to do everything we need you to do to still make money off the labor, right? Like, you gonna go, we're gonna kill you slowly, we're gonna feed you the worst food, you still gonna be working, you still gonna be going to buy the best shoes, the best clothes, the best everything, because you're still, even if you don't have this name from this institution, we're still gonna be using you in some particular kind of way, right? Because they think because they're going to college that there's no assimilation. Yes, it is. It is assimilation. And so let me read it to you. Institutionalized. And then he said that they are literally operating under a program and a blueprint of continued enslavement. And while they think it's not an institution of enslavement, but it is, because they've taught it. They've created the blueprint, the blueprint to everything in every single area, in every arena, because they're in control, right? And I'm going somewhere because this is, the topic was, are you ready to be a wife, right? And we were talking earlier because if you say that you're ready to be a wife, right? And you're continually to operate in the indoctrination assimilation, and now what? The new word of you being institutionalized, right? And then he said, and let me go down so I can read it to you. He said, they keep you high off of feeling accomplished and having a so-called knowledge, and they know it's controlled. That's why the history they teach is what they want to teach. Only their victories and how they have defeated people. They're out of, and then he said, something to me. He said, let me get it, y'all, be patient. Mm-hmm. And we already know whatever they create, what the God of this world, Satan, creates, he controls it. So let's go. Then he said that the institutionalism starts at inception, right? What is inception? It's the establishment or starting point of an institution or activity, right? It also describes the psychological effects of long-term confinement. Or the act of placing someone in a facility. And that within that, let me go back up. She got my stuff all messed up. I'm going to say something else, and I'm going to pass it, and I'm going to come back like I usually do. And I'm going to come back to it because I can't. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. And so basically what he was saying was that just looking at being institutionalized showed me that within Are You Ready to Be a Wife? Looking at where I was at when my husband came to me and we were talking about this, and feeling and the understanding of knowing where I was at, but not having a name to it, right? Not having a name to being indoctrinated, not having a name to operating in assimilation and the indoctrination of what this world has taught us that we need to have or what we need to be in order to have a husband, right? And so it's important because over here in the remnant, we do not operate off of, I've learned very early on about cares, needs, and wants and what something should look like and how it should come packaged and all that. That's something that was stripped because my thought of what I thought I wanted at the time was not. The Most High said, I'm going to give you what you need, right? And so at that point, when we were talking, I was like, well, when he said institutionalized, I never really even thought about being institutionalized, like I was in this box of, in a matrix of what Satan, where he wanted me to be, and having an understanding of, I'm in this place right now. So when he came, I was able to see, okay, there's something that took me out of looking at myself, which made me feel like the self that I always wanted to come out can now be present, right? If you can understand what I'm saying, just bear with me. So it was like, after everything I went through in the indoctrination, because everybody's story is going to be different, the not wanting to be here, the looking at a relationship and trying to make it what I wanted it, trying to create something out of nothing, right? Looking at something and being disappointed at the something instead of looking at myself. Because in the indoctrination, we do not look at self. We look at the other person. It's always what this person don't have. They don't have no money. They don't have this. They don't have a car. They don't have their own place. They cannot support me, right? You're looking at everything that you're supposed to be looking at in that little box that the indoctrination has put you in, right? So it's like when he came, I was able to see something different, right? I was able to see myself and what I could bring to the table, who I was, what I always wanted to bring, but it was a whole different light shed on, are you ready to be a wife? Because at that time, it wasn't, are you ready to be a wife? Nobody's going to come to you and say, are you ready to be a wife? Right? They're not going to say, do you have the qualifications to be a wife? I think when something is present, it's present. Right? Just like when he came to me, his presence was present, right? So when his presence was present, I knew when he said the words, all I want is a woman who would listen to me and do what I say, and I'll give her the world. I knew I could be that person. And we were talking earlier, and I was saying, the funny thing is that when he told me that, I never looked at, I will give you the world. I looked at, all I want is a woman who would listen to me and do what I say. Because remember, I'm in the assimilation and indoctrination. So give you the world to me was like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but this other part, well, I could do real good at listening to you and do what you say, right? Everything that comes after that was not my responsibility. My responsibility was listening to him and doing what he said, right? I could do that. And because of who he was, I knew I could do that because I knew it was never given before. So because of who he was, I said I could do that. So when we say, are you ready to be a wife? I felt like all my life I was ready to be a wife in the indoctrination, right? Over here in our culture, the are you ready to be a wife can consist of many different things. And I'm going to let some of the other ladies talk, and then I'm going to come back so that they can have a chance to speak. Because on that note, you can understand what I'm saying, and you can see different points of view of all the women coming from different lifestyles and everything else, and they can explain coming from the indoctrination what they feel like are you ready to be a wife looks like.
Oh, yes, one on there. Okay, good evening, everyone. So, why is that? I look at it, from coming from the indoctrination with the class title being, Are You Ready to Be a Wife? I look at it as someone who was never big on faith, at least in my walk. Being submitted and obedient to the Most High is like the first. Like when you hear be submitted to a man, you don't know what that looks like because you look at it from a worldly sense. But when you lead with being submitted and obedient to the Most High first, doing those things to or being submitted to your man looks a lot easier. But I didn't realize that that was the important component to being able to see what that looks like without thinking that it's crazy to follow a man. Now, I never really had issues with following men because I grew up with men in my household. And so I could see that dynamic, but there were times where I realized I wasn't picking good leaders, which would me having the upper hand of being around men turned into me being the leader. At least I thought I was. And so my dynamic was different because I felt like I didn't know what that looks like because I never had to be submitted and obedient to anything. I had my dad in my life, but I still did what I wanted to do at the end of the day. So that was he had authority there, but I picked and choose when I wanted to follow it. And so, having the Most High at the forefront, it makes you take accountability to ask yourself, are you ready for those things? Because it forces you to have to be a reflection of what you're asking for. And, here the women don't get a pass. You need to make sure that you're accountable just like the man. You have to do the work just like the man. You don't get a pass just because you're feminine or we've covered all types of topics as far as like when it's that time of the month and when you're going through pregnancy hormones and things like that, to where there's no excuse of what you're being led by to answer that question. And the only way you can answer that is through transparency, is if you're ready, if you're ready to be a wife. And, it also forces you to look at yourself as if you're ready to be a partner, and how much growing you need to do within that process, because everybody can see it in the remnant. There's no such thing as the man not being able to detect where your shortcomings are. And so I realized that within myself, I'm not courting someone, but we are getting to know each other at this point. And there has been things that has been pointed out to me that I would not have recognized as just me being by myself, as far as like certain characteristics I possessed and things like that. And so, some things that were pointed out to me was that I can come up here and I can speak. And then a lot of times I'll use me being shy as a scapegoat. And sometimes like some people look at me like, how are you shy? Like I literally don't see that. But I realized that my definition was shy was escaping accountability for something I didn't want to do. And so in the world, it's easy to be like, no, I'm shy. I don't want to do that. Like whatever. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like that's just not your strong suit. But I realized that when I started using that, it was more so me not wanting to do something or step out my comfort zone, as far as not just things that didn't matter, but stuff that was necessary for growth. I would use that as an excuse. And I realized that when it was put in my face, that that's what I was doing and I didn't know, so it was things like that that forced me to look at myself, as far as, it's important enough to be brought to the light because it is a comfort thing that I have that's something that I also want to get out of me that I would not have known had I not been in this process, where that was brought to the forefront. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm gonna leave it on that note. I'll probably say something after, but yeah. I'm trying to blank. Thank you. Where you wanna go?
I just want to share briefly when Dub was saying in indoctrination how marriage is institutionalized, right? I've been thinking on this topic for the last couple of days. And I was thinking about before the remnant, the relationships the marriages that I've came across in my life, right? The longest relationship I've seen besides Dre and Dove was my grandparents. They were together for like over 45 years or something like that. And the difference in that relationship versus other marriages that I've been exposed to throughout the years is that idea of happy wife, happy life, right? Where the man gets the honey-do list and he does everything wife says and he doesn't talk back and he doesn't buck against the wife, or he'll have to sleep on a couch, or, all these things like, you watching sitcoms on TV growing up. And, I know a couple that's in a situation like that now where it's like the wife looks at it in the wrong way. It's like, what do you need? What do you want? And I was telling my son on the way here, like, you see that, and like now looking at it from an undoctrinated point of view, it's like the man is stripped of his power, versus when I look at a marriage in a remnant, or what that looks like now that I know what that looks like. And we talked about it, or Dre and Dove talked about it, that partnership, it's like I look at marriage now because I had no desire to get married. But now that I see it from a different point of view, it'll be a beautiful thing, right? But not the happy wife, happy life. It's like now when I look back at that, I'm like, But the way my grandparents were is that up until the day he passed away, she put him first. They had 7 children, and it was always, him or church, him, and my dad and, my aunties and uncles. And then you look at Dre and Dove, and you can see like, that partnership with Naya, you can see the partnership in that. You Dove and Naya and Dre, it's like the partnership in that versus just the happy wife, happy life. And so, yeah, I just was thinking on a topic the last couple of days, made me think about that. And like a partnership to me is more appealing than just being a happy wife and a honey to-do list. It's just more inspiring. It's more, you want to be a teammate. You know what I mean? You want to be a team player in life. You don't want to be the one calling the shots. I can elaborate maybe more, but that thought was on my mind. I just wanted to get that out.
Oh, my dad asked, what was the, can you go to the, oh wait, no, I don't think you put it in. He told you.
He said he told you.
He asked, is a woman supposed to lead the man, or is the man supposed to lead the woman? That was his question. I want to say that was a question. Huh? I believe. Yeah. Well, he wants to ask because he's in Houston, and he may be watching with family. So it's not for him, but it's more so because in case we have family who's watching, it's for them. It's not for him. But I guess I pretty much kind of explained it in mine. As far as the woman, the woman is supposed to. The man is leading the woman. I almost. That's the order. That's the order. Yeah, that's the order. And so I feel like I touched on that a little bit when I spoke. But do y'all want to speak on the?
Okay. Good evening. So, just thinking about this topic, are you ready to be a wife? Right? And just thinking about before I got married, where I was, and just thinking of the timing, right, of the Most High. And before, in indoctrination, I never thought about, I would think that what people call is like wifey material, right, of certain quality traits, certain traits that you would have that people would think is what a wife's supposed to be, right? I mean, it could just be like cooking or cleaning or just the basics of what any woman should be doing, right? But I would think that, and I believe that kind of ties into the happy wife, happy life my mom was talking about. Because when I was thinking about before the information of what a wife looked like and how I was operating in my relationships, I would try to be controlling things, right? And I would think that as long as the woman is happy, that was just everything, not more so thinking about the man who's doing stuff or maybe providing things, right? And yeah, so I would just try to be controlling or my way or the highway. If things didn't just bleeding, just all feelings, right? And then coming into the information and learning virtue, getting that back from my God, my virtue, which is our womanhood, right? And learning that and being everything onto the Most High, right? Of what the Most High considers exceptional for a woman, those traits, how she's operate, you know. And, even when I came into the remnant, I wasn't thinking about being a wife, right? I wasn't even thinking about, I was courting in the beginning, but that ended. And even then, after that, I wasn't still thinking about it. But the way I think about it is like, here first, we build, the Most High comes first in everything, right? You build your relationship with the Most High. So as I'm doing that, right, I'm just being everything I'm supposed to be to the Most High. And then He brings me a husband, right? And at that time, although I didn't think that I was ready to be a wife, the timing of Him making me a wife, giving me a husband, I believe was Him pretty much telling me that you are, right? You're ready to be a wife. You have these traits, right? The virtuous woman and everything. You have this information because with my husband and I, we didn't start off with the romantic part of what most relationships would start off with, right? It was the information first, and then as our process in our marriage, we're learning. I don't know if I can say we're learning, but more, yeah, learning each other, but also that romantic side of things, right? And where was I going with that?
I was about to say, you think?
Yeah,
You think?
yeah,
I promise you, I was about to say.
yeah. I mean, it was pretty fast. I mean, it was just everything, right? I mean, one day I was just the single woman, boom. The next day, here I am, like married,
Married with children.
Yeah, married and a baby on the way, But yeah, just thinking about, you know, just the timing in that, um and really understanding, being in the information, what a wife actually is. Wait, it's something that I looked up earlier, and excuse me. I'm pretty sure this will also be good for the rest of the women to hear and kind of piggyback off of later. So these are just some things It says core biblical principles for a wife, which is in our history book. Respect and submission. Wives are called to be Wives are called to submit to their husbands' leadership as the Lord and ensure they deeply respect them, right? Them as the Most High and the husband. Helper and companion. Wives are to be a helper to their husbands, working together in unity as one flesh. Virtuous character. Proverbs 31 describes a wife of noble character as industrious, kind, wise, and devoted to her family, having a value far above rubies. Support and partnership. She is called to support her husband's role, manage the household well, and be a source of strength. Spiritual devotion. Her ultimate devotion is to God, the Most High, which enables her to serve her family with love, gentleness, and purity, right? And most of those things I've had to learn because there were things that I would naturally have just as a woman, but more so learning the part of not everything just being about me, right? Here in a woman, we don't live that happy wife, happy life. It's not always, it's like having to understand everything isn't about you. And I struggled with that for a while because about those feelings, I was going to go to bed about them, right? And to the point where it would get to the point where I was jeopardizing my marriage, right? Because my husband, he's not to say that when I say that it's not all about you to where it's not about you at all, right? But more so understanding what your assignment is, and putting that above what those little feelings could be, right? And um hmm, oh, okay, excuse me, dang, I just had it. So okay, so just going back to those feelings and what women think how things are supposed to operate in a marriage, right? But it's just like reading, going over that, and understanding what. Okay, hold on. God dang, because I just had it, and now my mind just got scrambled real quick.
Go back to what you said, right?
Yeah. Okay, right. So the happy wife, happy life, right? And looking back on it, how really miserable that is, and to where it's like even that what people think that concept is just like it's just corruption the way I look at it. There's no building there, and what here in the remnant having to learn that that what we're doing here, even in my marriage, is the building, right? And how important that is. So just going back to those feelings of when you think that these feelings here, what's that word I'm looking for? Justifies this or that, right? And it'd be those very things that will jeopardize your marriage to the point where things could just end, right? And having to learn to broaden things out and myself to not just a selfish to not just a small selfish, not being small and selfish, right? Because here it's like, you know, we have order, right? You have the Most High, your husband, the wife, and then the children, you know, and anything out of order in that is just it just creates chaos. You know, the woman doesn't lead, this and that is just, you know, just falling, just being aligned, being in alignment to just being in alignment, you know, to your God and your husband, right? And um something else I wanted to say, it'll come back to me. But, you know, just going back to um, you know, just where I first started of, you know, the timing and even when, like, there's been times where I would think just having to learn going through this process, right? Just with it being new to me and fresh and um yeah, just having to learn what's what's exceptional, right? And it's like even when I'm taking like having to okay, well another thought just came to me, right? Where something that ways of okay, this is something I thought about that I completely left out as far as how I operate in the world, right? And as far as me being controlling and all of these things, right? And I would, although I would be in a relationship, I would operate still as a single woman, right? And when I say that, and there's been times my husband would say it to me where I'm thinking for myself. Not that it's in a way of, oh, y'all can't think for yourself over there. Yes, we can, right? We have our own minds, but in a way to where you are leaving, you're operating against your partner, right? To where it's like, I'm just gonna make this move here and do this and do that, and then I'm gonna talk to him about it later, right? And that would cause that's chaos, right? And I've done it before, and every time where I would think that, well, I'm gonna take it upon myself and do this and that because I think that it's best for me to do this, right? And I will always have to come back around, correct it to my husband, for my God, and before the people, right? That accountability. Because over here, the accountability is at an all-time high, right? And so just having to understand that that oneness, you know, that togetherness, knowing when to be the wife and when to be the partner, right? Because like we learned in one of the couple classes, knowing when to separate the two, right? Understanding what the partner looks like and the wife, right? Because the wife, she may have her feelings, but the partner, she's going to know exactly what the assignment is, what to do, what needs to be done, what we got to lift over here, this, and that. Girl, having to talk to yourself like I could give a bam about how you feel, right? Because it's not about you, you know? And having to put your husband first and yeah, and prioritizing him and again the Most High, right? And I'm gonna end off there. I'm gonna come back, but um, yeah, I'm gonna come back because it's something that I've also thought about, but it's not clicking right now. So yeah, I feel like I just went in a big circle.
Okay. I just, okay, go ahead, Greatness.
What's the difference between courting and getting to know somebody?
First, okay, because first I wanted to go back to the initial question that Eddie
No,
asked.
just for clarification, he said, does the woman line up with the man or does the man line up with the woman?
Okay, yeah. The woman most definitely lines up with the man. That ain't even no question over here in the remnant. And I wanted to say something that earlier, what I wanted to say was that deception starts at inception, right? Deception. And that's something that the indoctrination, because we know that the God of this world, who is Satan, runs everything. And so that deception really starts at inception. So everything that we've all been through, right, starts with that. So when they say, you could take that saying, happy wife, happy life. But see, in the indoctrination, happy wife, happy life comes from what somebody can do for you, not who you are and what you do for yourself to get you there. So in the remnant, happy wife, happy life to me is, first of all, we already know in remnant, you know, a woman who fears the Most High, she shall be praised. A woman who fears the Most High, like you did, Naya, when you came, that's how you had to come with that man, right? So it's like, are you ready to be a wife? That's what the Most High saw in you, because that's how you had to come to that man. Somebody else's requirements might be something different, but here in the remnant, that's what we're looking at. So I can't answer that courting and the other question because that ain't my question, but I would think that if two individuals, right? If two individuals in the remnant or somebody outside, it could be a remnant member and somebody outside the remnant, decide like it's not against the law to talk to each other, right? And if you're talking and getting to know each other, you're not involved, it's not sex, it's not sexual, it's nothing against talking to somebody, unless if you're dating and you're going out on dates and you're doing those things, I think you should be courting. That's just my personal, that's how I'm looking at it. If you taking somebody out and you're doing things like you're going on a date, then you need to be courting. Because like we've said before, there have been other situations that should have been courting. I ain't gonna say, but that's on that person got to deal with that. But that's just because as a woman of the Most High God, we do not let our good be evil spoken of, right? And when you want to talk about virtue, that is something of, are you ready to be a wife? Because that's something that's very profound that needs to be existing. Your virtue needs to exist. And if a man is not looking at virtue, if he is not looking at that you're a woman of the Most High God over here in this culture and remnant, that's a problem. Because that means that man is not ready for a wife anyway, and you ain't ready if you're not worried that he's looking for a virtuous woman. But most of all, happy wife, happy life is that you are operating underneath the Most High God like you're supposed to, submitted and obedient in everything that looks like. And yes, it is the Most High, the man, the woman, and the children. And that's how it operates. It don't take nothing from us, because I'm happy that now I get to operate in my full power and authority as the woman of the Most High God that he has created me to be, right? There is nothing weak and sorry about who I am, right? And so none of us operate like that. If you go look in the indoctrination, all you see is sadness, weakness, no strength, powerless, sorrowful, all that kind of stuff. That's all you see in the world. Why? Because like you said, happy wife, happy life, happy girlfriend, happy life. Things, worldly things, right? Things that the world is looking for. Things that what? The deception starts at inception. Something that we teach you to get rid of. Get it out of you. Get it out of your vocabulary. Get it out of your eyesight. Get it out of your mind. Right? So that you don't have to look at somebody else to tell you that's why you're going to be a happy wife. Right? Me being a happy wife is my submission and obedience to the Most High God, knowing that if I'm giving that to the Most High, my husband most definitely going to get that. Right? But if you looking at somebody else to create your happiness and existence in this life, you already starting out with a problem. You ain't even good for yourself. And a lot of you out there in the indoctrination hate yourself, really, because I was there. Hated my very existence. Because why? Because I was always looking for somebody else to make me happy. So you sure can't go into a marriage talking about it, I'm wifey material, but then you got all this list of needs you need from this man, and you ain't got one of them. Right?
At that point.
You are. You a burden to yourself, though. Because you sitting over here burdening your mind with all these things that you think you are requiring from some man, and you ain't got an ounce of it. You ain't even got no virtue. You got all these bodies. You ain't doing nothing with yourself. You ain't even working. You got kids. You know what I'm saying? And you trying to sit up here and set stipulations off of what you feel like you looking for in a man or a husband. Most of you guys out there in the indoctrination really never believe you will get married because you don't think you're wifey material, really. Really, you don't. You know, you might think you around the way boy material, but you know you ain't wifey material. You know you ain't. Really deep down inside, you know you ain't. You know you can get this boy and that boy and, you know, but you really know what's getting him. What's getting him is what you're willing to give him. And at that point in the indoctrination, that's all you have to give. You ain't got nothing else. You surely ain't getting renewed with this without that indoctrination, with this relief doctrine, with the Most High renewing and restoring you, right, to your original woman, because he's the only one who can ever make you feel like you're restored. So how about let's go back there? How about let's go to not putting your happiness and stipulations on somebody else? And how about, like Naya said, how about let's build yourself? How about let's not wait till your husband come to try to build yourself? You know what I'm saying? How about let's start there? How about let's figure out in this relief doctrine, which is our culture biblically, how to build yourself up in the Most High God, right? So you can literally have something to offer. All praises.
Good evening, everybody. When I was thinking about the topic tonight, I was just thinking of a list of duties, right, of a wife. And all the things that we have discussed, are discussing tonight, have already, multiple times. But being that helpmate, being that peace, being, knowing him sometimes even more than he knows himself. Because when you are operating in your submission and obedience, you not only have yourself, you have the power of the Holy Ghost that comes up with you as well, which is powerful, powerful thing. So I was thinking about it, and last night, the Holy Ghost reminded me of the past, reminded me of a situation that happened when shortly after I met my husband, because I am recently a wife. As of a couple of months ago. And when we met, there was no thought of, I am ready to be a wife, I want to be a wife. That wasn't even a thought in my head. As a kid growing up, that wasn't something that I necessarily strive for. Maybe being a mom, but even that, it was like, how does that even make sense? I got the baby dolls and I'm thinking more about being a mother, but not of a wife. And that is so backwards. And the examples that I had, I've known people to be married, but it wasn't anything that I wanted or strive for or saw value in or envied or anything like that. It was something that just didn't really make sense to me and seemed out of order to me. And so when we met, again, that wasn't even a thought. But I thought about a situation that happened a year after we met, almost to the day. It was September 2020. And we had already had a whirlwind at that point. I had been running around for a year, and it was just crazy. So it was my 21st birthday, and it was still COVID time, but there was some stuff that was opening up, and there was a couple of bars that were open. So we went out of town, went to visit a good friend of mine, and I was just so happy to have a break for a couple of days and like get out, do something, go out. We hadn't really done anything together in like 8 months in that point. We only know each other a year. So it was crazy. And I remember the day and I was just excited for whatever. And Alex leaves and he's like, I gotta go do something. I didn't think anything of it. I'm still with my friend. You know, we get all dressed up. I'm ready to go out. And we meet up later, we go out. And the whole day I'm just kind of thinking like, just in my feelings, like he left, like he didn't give me a gift. Like I'm not really thinking anything of it. And then it's like we get out, it's quiet, we go to some bars, and I'm just like, really, like this is it. Just attitude in my feelings. Meanwhile, I'm drinking Hennessy and Patron shots back to back. And cognac was my thing, but not Patron, especially not together. But I was clearly on a mission to just get drunk and all that, right? Meanwhile, there was no thought in my head that he did go out earlier, right? So end of the night comes, we go back to the hotel, part ways with my friend, whatever, right? At this point, I walk in and this man had balloons, rose petals, candles on the bath, like a purse on the bed, just the whole thing, right? Chocolate covered strawberries, all that, the whole thing. And I'm too drunk to enjoy it. I am out, right? I think I blacked out for a minute but on the ride over. Okay. I end that night, he had a photo of me. It was my contact photo for probably 2 years. Okay. Of me sitting on the bathroom floor, puking looking up at him, right, holding the toilet. And the next day, I was so disappointed in myself. But in the indoctrination, also having that thought, why do you let me drink so much? No accountability. And that was just the perfect example of how the Most High has to bless me, has continued to bless me, and I just destroy it. And this was almost 6 years ago. He's never done it since. And it was sad. It crushed him too. Just the whole, like, I did this for you and I've been paying for it, punished for it ever since.
Never do it again.
And he would bring it up, years later, right? We're in a different place now. Information's here, all of that. But I like to remind myself of the past, of where I came from, of where we have came from. And I'm happy, I'm grateful of what the Most High has allowed and what I've experienced in order to be an example, to bear my scars and face the consequences, and to be able to speak on those things. And also knowing that the Most High got something good for me because of everything that I've conquered through. And on top of that, with my husband, who is my husband today, and who has been with me also throughout that entire process. And I woke up this morning and I thought, I don't regret things in my life. But the one thing that I do regret is not appreciating the man that the Most High brought me. And that can change, that is changing. And I see how when I am operating as a wife and everything that entails, I just see the pep in his step, the happy attitude just with us, right? Because he doesn't want to correct me, but he will, and it is an honor for him to do so, because the Most High has instilled that in him as his duty as my husband. And I'm grateful for the correction. But at what point do I just get it?
The question is, you said it's an honor for him, but is it an honor for you?
Well,
No.
I think Nye has a little mic. Dev said that I said it was an honor for him, but is it an honor for me?
Yeah.
And maybe I said grateful, maybe I didn't say honored.
Because a lot of
but-
times when we look at it like that, it's just like when we had the class on appreciation,
Mhm.
right? It's like how I learned. I think that's a learned thing, because it's like how I used to be with the Holy Ghost when he used to call me out and show me myself, and I would be devastated, right? Because we don't want to see ourselves, right? Because seeing ourselves makes us have to take accountability, right? And it takes us making somebody else the scapegoat, and we really have to look at ourselves and take accountability. So it's like I learned to look at the Holy Ghost and appreciate his discipline, because I know that if I'm being disciplined, then one thing I do know is that he loves me and he sees me,
Yeah.
right? It's like my husband. I know if he's disciplining me and correcting me and washing me, I know he loves me, because if he didn't, he wouldn't take the time out to do that. So it's like we have to learn to switch and turn on the appreciation and the honor like they have of, instilling the rightness in us
Sure.
and the truth. But we have to look at it like that in order to be able to receive it, right? So that we can actually put it into operation, instead of us getting our feelings hurt. And then now we're operating out of hurt feelings instead of operating out of the love that was given for us to change and to be able to see what we were doing wrong, right? And that's what I had to learn with the Holy Ghost. So I know how hard it is when we can't even see the Holy Ghost, but yet he still loves us to discipline us and give us the right information, because the discipline is checking you on your own spirit, on your own bad behavior, on your emotions, right? And so if we have somebody who can do that, which is what the word says the husband should do, then we should be able to look at it at, yeah, I'm tripping. And I know he loves me, and I know he wants the best for me. And he's seeing something in me right now that I can't see myself operating in. And that's the love. And then we can learn to honor. And like my husband said before, we can learn to start appreciating, and the appreciation starts to show in our actions, not just in our, emotions and facial expressions and
Right.
shutting down and all that kind of stuff, but really coming into the conclusion that we know we have husbands and we know they love us because we're remnant. And we know that they are accountable to the Most High. So we know we trust them with that. And they're not just going to be bringing anything to us that's not of the Most High, right? And that right there is something that's different from the indoctrination and remnant. An indoctrinated man don't care nothing about nothing. It is that, let me make her happy, let me do this. Some people don't care nothing about that. They could be abusive and everything else. They don't care nothing about your happiness. They care about themselves, right? Just like women care about themselves. It's all about a self thing. But it's like Naya said earlier, we're wives and we're partners, right? And learning to compartmentalize and learning what that means and what that looks like, and being able to accept correction when it's given. I think that's important, because if you can't accept it, then that means you have a problem with trust, and you have a problem with that person, period, because you really don't believe they have your best interest in mind. Instead of saying, you're right, babe, I'm gonna correct that. Right? Thank you for saying that, because I was tripping. And you've said that before. So it's like, are you going to now not trust him? Or are you going to continue to trust that that's his job? Our husband's jobs is to wash us in this word, and to make sure that they're seeing us when we're walking outside of the spirit in our carnal mind, in those feelings and those emotions. That's their job. And just as honored as he is to do his job, we should be just as honored that they love us that much to make sure that we walking right before the Most High God. Because if we're walking before the Most High God the way we should, like I said earlier, in full submission and obedience, we most definitely gonna be everything that man needs. It doesn't mean that we may not fall sometimes, or we may not fall into the carnal emotions and stuff, but that's what they there for, to let us know, hey, What's going on right here? My husband will always say, hey, how you feeling? Because he already know what's going on. Because he
Right.
know everything about me. My facial expressions, my actions. If I come in, if I don't say something, if I do say something, he knows everything about me, just like I know everything about him. And that's what when Naya said building means you're learning one another. Building means I know this man inside and out, just like he knows me, I know him. And that's learning each other. But in the remnant, we know that we all have a part to play. It's just not happy wife, happy life. It's happy everybody, happy life, right? Because if we have a good attitude toward the Most High God, and there we go back again, right, to our submission and obedience, then everybody is going to be happy. There's no reason in the world why we should bring the indoctrination over here and continue to operate in the indoctrination with this relief doctrine, right? Because we don't have to. We simply don't have to. And as we know, if you do, it's because you did it because you wanted to. You did it because you wanted to go reach back to those worldly emotions, those worldly feelings, because you want to make somebody understand the indoctrination in you. And we don't operate in that over here. That's why our husbands know, hold on, you not gonna bring that over here. He gonna recognize indoctrination immediately because he is a man of the Most High God. But that is what he's supposed to do, right? Right. I'm gonna let you finish.
I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And also honoring our position
Mm-hmm.
of where the Most High has put us. And I think that has been, well, I know it's been a huge shift of being able to wake up every day and not only being able to correct myself because of the accountability to my God, but also having that extra of, you are a wife. You do have a position to play. You do have a duty to operate this way, no matter what. And I was thinking about, so when we were talking about the class, is, gosh, imagine if I went into our relationship that way, of already having, I'm gonna be a wife, or I'm gonna learn exactly what I need to be his wife. And now we have the ability to teach women coming in who are maybe in a relationship now, or are single, with kids, without kids, whatever the situation is. And now and young ladies who are growing up in this, to be able to, number one, focus everything onto the Most High, but also having that extra of the order of, am I ready to be a wife? And if I'm not, what do I need to correct now, so that when the Most High does put that man into my life, am I prepared? I talked to my mom a little while back, and she had gotten out of a relationship, and I've talked to her about it a couple of times, where not only were you shown multiple signs that this wasn't your husband, whatever else comes with that, right? Just simply that this person is not your husband. But thinking, oh, I just want a partner. She would say that a lot. I just want a partner. I want to, not even really, I want to be a wife. It was the partner, because the examples that she's seen of a wife and a husband or marriage wasn't anything that she desired. So I think that she focused more on the partnership because she didn't want to be alone. And I'm thinking, if you're so focused on the partner, what happens when you do get him? Are you ready to keep him? Do you have the tools to make that marriage last, to be the wife that you're supposed to be? And rather than focusing on getting him, focusing on the inside out, your relationship with the Most High and who you are. And I think that we should all be looking at that. And on top of that, what Nai had said about thinking of yourself as by yourself, even in a marriage. And then that transition in your mind of having to rethink that on a daily basis to the point where it just becomes natural that you're not alone, you're not by yourself. You do have a duty to keep that unity in that marriage strong, and you have the power to do that because you've been instilled with the tools to have a successful marriage.
Well, it's not just that you're not alone, you're not single.
You're not
Mhm.
single.
Two different
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
You're not single. The not single gives a level of accountability beyond I'm just not alone.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point. Andre had said that you're not single. Not only are you're not alone, but you're not single. When you're thinking in that mindset of the independent woman or the I don't need a man, but then even now in the indoctrination, you have people in relationships and it's still, I don't need, I got
I
it
was just
either
getting ready
way.
to say, because even that statement of even having to go back to her and ask her that question, she has no point of reference that you have. So it's like, thank you, Holy Ghost. Thank you for this information, because it's like, I'm not looking back at an indoctrinated person wondering what they're going to be or who they're going to be or what kind of wife they want to be, because I already know where they're at. They're at what they were saying earlier. So I wouldn't even ask my mom or somebody outside of the indoctrination, my sister, what kind of wife do you want to be or what are you looking for or whatever, because they have no point of reference but what the indoctrination has told them it should look like. And that's
Well-
why they will never be happy wife, happy life. Now, there are some people in the indoctrination who claim to be happy in their marriage, and that's good because they're both probably the same, and they don't care about giving up their manhood to make sure that she's feeling like she's the almighty powerful woman in a whole different way in the indoctrination. And that mighty powerful woman is not, it is a lie, right? Because she has zero power. Her power is the power that she has over that particular man, and that's it. And that's good with her and it's good with him, right? So in that life, okay, good, you can have it. I'm not going to say there's no successful marriages in the indoctrination. There is, right?
Yeah,
Because
but
they have accepted what each other want in their lives.
the numbers show in America, not so much.
Right. I'm
Right.
just saying there's
Well,
a
I'm
few.
just saying the
Yeah.
numbers show in America,
Yeah.
not so
It is
much.
not
Now,
so
we want to
much.
explain why in this country in particular,
Mm-hmm.
why the modern marriages end in divorce like 70%. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
think if you're going to discuss that, I know you can't hear me, but
Right.
if you're going to discuss that,
Mm-hmm.
can't let that off the hook. We
Yeah.
can't let what's going out there in the world off the hook. We want to say this is why
Mm-hmm.
marriages are unsuccessful.
Right.
This is the reason why.
Right.
You guys are explaining the reason
Most
why
definitely.
they are not successful.
Right.
That's important.
Right.
Right.
And then that jockeying for a position, and then like I said, the looking at what the requirements are for that person, and that within itself, it's not crazy because that's the indoctrination. I said it, deception starts at inception. So it's like when you're operating like that and everybody wants to be the head, right? The woman want to be the head, the man want to be the head, the man looking for this, the woman's looking for that. And most times people really ain't looking to be married. right? Women want to be single, they want to have things, and men just want to have sex, and they both just want to have sex, right? When I was before I met my husband, I never really thought I would ever get married. I was settled with that. I was settled with the fact that I'm probably not going to ever get married. And if I do get married, all I have to look at is the other indoctrinated marriages that ended, or things were going on in there, the deception and everything else. So it wasn't something that I was really looking forward to anyway, right? So, I mean, that's what's out there right now. That's what's out there. So it's like, when you're looking at those types of things, like back then, it wasn't something I was looking forward to. And now let's fast forward decades later, and now it's even worse. Because right now women think they're satisfied with themselves because they think they can do things that men can't do, right? And then men are just like, okay, I'm just gonna have my fun. You know what I'm saying? So what else is there, babe?
Well, there's a question here because this was said publicly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be clarified. I think this goes to Tori.
Oh yeah, I saw it come
I
up.
would like Tori to give some clarity on her point of view on courting versus getting to know someone, since it's public.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
So in my case, getting to know someone versus courting. So of course, when I came into the remnant, I was single. And so with my situation, the person who I am talking or getting to know now is Rob. He's not here, but in that case, he was more so brought to my attention months ago, but it wasn't something that I had pursued because in the remnant, at the foundation of it, we aren't here to look at women or men. You just do your work. You're submitted and obedient. So in my case, he wasn't someone that I had my eye on. He wasn't someone that I was like, just like anybody else here. I'm not coming in with this mindset of like, oh, this person is cute. Let me try to, that wasn't what that situation was. So, when it was suggested that I should probably talk to him, I didn't really jump on the situation because I didn't know him. So it was more so like, okay, I'm not really looking at you. You aren't looking at me. We're not about to just force it to make it a thing. Like we literally don't know each other. I haven't really paid much attention to you to know you outside of remnant, and just like my brother Manas has said on couples night, don't just look at me because I'm remnant, but can continue to look at the man in me. So that's our mindset, is that I'm not going to easily be like, oh, you're remnant, easy match, no questions asked. Like you might be handsome, but I don't know you as a person. So in my case, over time, I didn't really, neither one of us really pursued it until it was like, okay, maybe we should look into this. But it's more so when I say getting to know someone, it's not just me and this person, because in our family, and it should be like this in the remnant, you're coming into the family. So that means that I'm getting to know you now. I'm looking at you on a different level. Now you're around my brothers. They're looking at you you're spending time with them. You're spending time with my dad. So it's that factor of, are we even, I don't know this person. So, it's more, it's not like you just casually jump into something and you get to know people, because there's been times where I did not know I was in a courtship, and then it blindsided me because I'm like, what indicator would I have been given to know that? So in my case, the difference is that it's more so the family getting to know this person. And so, just to make sure that, and if just getting to know them, just being observant, just seeing how the Most High moves, and if you actually like that person, because it's not like matchmaker where you're signed up with this person and that's who you have to be with, but you also have to take that process serious, where you are guarding your virtue, you are making sure you're in bounds, you're not just testing the waters and making sure. So like I say, in this situation, this person was brought to my attention months ago. We're just now getting around to speaking, but it's not like we have been doing this for months. That's just the introduction of how that became something. And I look at it like, okay, if we all are in agreement, and it's a family thing, then it just goes straight to a relationship. There's really, I guess would be
So is that courting?
you could
say on that once you're done.
okay. So it's like, I mean, I don't, I feel like courting is more intimate, and in that getting to know someone is more so like just at the forefront of like having conversations. I would say, well, at least it was explained, like if you're taking like trips, like overnight trips somewhere, or if you're like in the,
Courting, you ain't about to take no overnight trip with nobody, nowhere.
see, this is okay. Only reason why I'm confused now is because I remember when we were at Dee's house and you and Dre started courting, and we were like, if I think my dad asked the example, and it was like, oh yeah, well that's fine as long as y'all are in bounds. So that's the point of reference that the conversation we had, that was an example.
So,
Go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, baby.
Let me see that real quick. So it's like, as far as the courting, right, which we know in the remnant, when you're courting somebody, it's not that the moment you court somebody, y'all just lock it in, right? You have the decision to make of whether you want to continue courting that person, right? But it's not like, see, like even, it's like when you say like he was brought to your attention, you know, also looking at where you're at, even if somebody brings to your attention, like, you know, you and so-and-so will look good, or I think you and so-and-so should, you know, y'all pair well. Having to look at yourself and where you are and having to ask yourself, well, knowing where you're at, if that's something that you want, because it's like before my marriage, I could have decided to be getting to know people all day, but I had to make the decision of, do I want to court? That's more like you getting somewhere with that, but it's not like to where it's loose, like, because it's like when you say you're just getting to know somebody, it's like, I see that as like, it's like y'all getting to know each other, but y'all don't want that title, the accountability of the courting.
'Cause it's the
Do we
same
want
thing.
this to stick?
It's the same thing, like
Yeah.
you just said. If you're courting, there's no connections and there's no promises. There's no I'm yours. It's we're
Yeah.
courting because we're getting to know each other. It's the same
Exactly.
thing.
And if it don't work, then you have the decision to,
I'm not courting.
yeah, then we're just gonna part
Mhm.
ways. But it's not like you have to make that decision to just be there.
Right.
It's like with my husband, in the beginning, I wasn't forced in that situation to where I just had to accept that. I had to decide what I wanted for myself. And that just goes for anybody with the courting process. But I don't think that there's a separation of courting versus getting to know somebody, you know?
Mhm.
So I guess more so for clarification, I do agree with what you're saying. And I feel like in the remnant, being a single woman, it was like either you're married or you're not. So my point of reference was more so coming from, just because I'm courting this person doesn't mean I'm married, because a lot of times that was the experience of like, we're married, like it was like straight up like just a hard line. Huh?
Couldn't have been because
Not courting to marriage.
it couldn't have been the truth. You could have thought that way because Naya and Kyla was courting, there ain't no more. It couldn't have been that. You
Well,
couldn't have felt that when somebody is courting, that's saying we about to definitely do this. No, the courting process is to find out whether you're gonna.
The only thing that interrupts that is if you guys have sex. If you're both remnant, y'all
You got a
married.
problem, you about to marry.
You married.
okay.
That's
okay.
different.
Yeah, no, I'm not there.
Let me say this also.
Mhm.
I told Rob, you guys can stay out to 6 in the morning, but you better not stay overnight.
Mhm.
That's what I told Rob. I said, you can go whatever, but if you stay over in the night, that's going to a different level. But you guys are going out, you got to court somebody, go to the jazz club or whatever, you courting. But if you take it to a next level, you better get your rings ready.
Because that's the thing of like the structure that we have. That just goes back to the structure that we have in our culture. The difference between like in the world where people is getting to know each other all day, right? But in the remnant, we have that structure of the order, the courting process, then the marriage, and then so on, so on, So, yeah, and even with that, it's like, you don't want to be that person, not saying like for you, but just for anybody where you're just courting people.
I know, just getting to know people.
Yeah, you just getting to know people and you just in these like you looking like you're trying to find somebody in here, but it's like
Let me just
that,
say,
yeah.
every,
Mhm.
you can repeat it. Everything breaks down to accountability in the remedy.
He said everything breaks down to accountability in the
If you're just
remedy.
getting to know somebody, you lack accountability.
Exactly.
But if you're courting, everybody gonna make you accountable.
Right.
It's just different. And that keeps things aligned. It keeps
Right.
it pure. Right? Because if you're just getting to know somebody, then it's like,
Because then it looked like a secret then.
Because that's happened
'Cause it's
before,
not-
and I wasn't in agreement with that. And I felt like it was a lot of dating, it was a lot of going out, and this person was not in the remnant yet. And then they started coming to the remnant, and then when it was dropped, it was like there was no accountability there. Right? And that thing should have been courting from the gate. It should have been called courting, not I'm just riding around with this person everywhere, doing things with this person everywhere, and not taking no accountability for what that thing is.
because the courting makes it accountable.
It does. And
Exactly.
accountable unto the Most
And it
High.
makes it pure, too.
Right.
It makes it clean and
It does.
pure, right? It does.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just say, I'm just getting to know that person, it sounds wrong.
Well, especially if people are observing, especially people in the remnant, we're observing. Yeah, and we could see bodies being held out the door. This, let me do this, let me do that. That's something that's courting.
Yes.
Because I'm not going, if I'm a single woman, I'm not about to let you put your arm around me. I'm not about to let you hold my hand. I'm not about to let you do all these things for me. And it's not courting, because that says something else. That's looking like we know what it is, but you don't want to say what it is. And as a woman, like I said, it's important, because you don't want, we already see, but we don't want to have to spell it out. We already know what it is, and it should be that with you, because that's virtue.
That's true.
That is like, I'm standing on this. If this is what it is, that's what I'm gonna call it. I ain't got no marriage ties to you, but like you said, we getting to know each other, right? This is not a tie. The tie is when I say this, and then we have an agreement that we're gonna be together forever. That's different. But the courting process is so you can get to know one another. Then when it's shown, when it's put out there, nobody has to say, well, what is going on with Rob and Tori? Well, we know what's going on. Boy, why ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. In the remnant, we don't have that, because we don't allow, like I said, no room for our good to be evil spoken of. If this is what we say is going on, just like with Papa and Naya, when they decided that they was going to do this, they said this. When they decided, okay, we're going to be going out to get to know each other, we said this, and then when it escalated, we this now, we married, because as a man, he knows what he wants, and he don't have to take a year to say, I'm gonna waste your time for a year. If am I what you want? Yeah. You what I want? Yeah, let's go. What are we waiting on?
I was just about to say
Right.
that,
Why we sitting up here wasting time courting when we already know what's up?
Exactly.
Right.
We have that in the remnant. We know that if two remnant is courting,
Most
it don't
definitely.
take a year.
No,
for
it
you
should
to-
not. It shouldn't.
Yeah, for you to
Yeah.
get married, because y'all should both know, you have this information. Y'all should both know what y'all want and how y'all gonna move forward.
Mhm.
How y'all gonna move forward,
Mhm.
right? But when you have remnant and somebody in the world courting, then that's when it takes a full year for you to court that person and then marry, or whatever the case may be, but just having that, even that, to where it,
just
two
making
remnants
it
should
plain,
know.
huh?
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
with a man, if he's courting somebody outside of here, people should know, because nobody remnant member want to see you out there like you courting somebody, and then your good is being evil spoken of, because what are you doing, right? And so that, and especially with a woman, a man, he gonna do whatever. We already know a man don't have to tell nobody, his woman or whatever, what he's doing, but especially a woman, because if somebody were to see you and Rob out, y'all on a date, y'all getting to know each other or whatever, because it's still a date. And then they're gonna be like, well, wait a minute. Rob and them seeing each other?
Eddie said, everybody, we make sure we all speak the same language. Can't just anyone walk in. Repeat it.
What did he say again?
What did he say?
We make sure.
We make
He
sure.
said we make sure we all speak the same language. Can't just anyone walk in.
And that's why a man has to go to the father and ask him. If
Okay.
that happens, that's courting.
Yeah, that I'm like, huh? Yeah. Mhm.
So what's the difference between a man going to the father saying, I'm interested in courting your daughter, and he says, okay, well, this is what I want you to do, right? That's
Mhm.
courting.
Right.
The
Right.
fact that a man comes in this remnant, you gotta go
Right.
before somebody.
Right. So
And
he's
say-
saying if a man goes to the woman's father and requests to court his daughter or to get to know his daughter, that's courting. That's, you know, that's a courting because he asked permission from the father.
Yeah.
Right.
And that should be first things first. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be the men talking to the daughter and they just doing their own thing. And then it's like, well, me and your daughter been talking this and that, because that's just out of order. You know, but it's going to the father first. Like, hey, I want to court. Yeah. And then, you know, y'all continue with the process.
Stop.
Oh, so in our case, we do things different. You have to go through the brothers first, which he hasn't necessarily done, which is, I guess, or more so he went to the father. So I don't disagree with the
Wait,
courting.
hold on, because that's just for our family. But to clarify for everybody else, because they might not have brothers of.
Well, that's
they
what
still
I was going to elaborate on.
Yeah.
The
So,
whole thing is before he went to the brothers, he went to the father. The father said what he wanted.
mhm,
He didn't just go to the brothers.
yeah,
You can't go to the brothers. You got to
Yeah.
go to the father. So when he went to Eddie, Eddie told him what to do. I was there.
I'm not saying that you weren't there. What I'm saying is, okay, so for the remnant, yes. In our household, our things are a bit different. So to broaden it out for everybody else, yes, you would go to the father. That would be the start of the process. In my case, from my dad, it's like, okay, no, that's out of order. You got to do it differently. So it's like, I could see by saying a father figure giving it, that's courting. But once again, we do things different. There are people in the remnant who do engagements in their marriage, and we don't necessarily believe in that. So our process is a bit, I can broaden it out, but that's why it's a little bit different in my case, because we're just not uniformed in certain areas. What's different in what?
What did you say was different? So
I just explained.
Okay, no. Let me ask this. Are you saying what's different is that if somebody wants to court you, they go to your brothers?
In our family, yeah, our family agreement was that you go through the brothers first, and then the dad.
So your father diminished. No, ma'am, no.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
If you say they go to your brothers first before your father, I'm gonna tell you guys publicly, you guys are out of order. We will not diminish the black man.
But that's not what I'm saying. It's not diminishing. That's just, okay, for example, when you were courting Naya, we all agreed that when you were spending time with the boys, and then it was brought to my dad, my dad said that was the order of the Most High, because I preferred to go through the brothers first. That way, once you get through them, then you come to me. So, right. So what I'm saying is that was the decision for the house. We all agreed that, huh?
Who made it?
He made that decision.
Who made it?
He made the decision.
The father made it.
Yeah.
So it came from your father.
Yeah.
Of how he wanted it to go.
Yeah.
They didn't just go to your brother.
Right. So we respect the decision that was made as a household.
No, ma'am. The instruction came from your father. The primary came from your father.
Right.
However, it disseminated after that was the secondary. The primary came from your father.
I want to add something else to that too. Like, so it's like what Dre is saying. Like, if somebody did want to court, do go to Pop first. Then Pop give the order, okay, you gotta go to the sons. And then once we get to know him, then we send for the father.
Because here we honor the father in his decision. We don't just, oh yeah, we like you don't matter. We just gonna go straight here and then just do things how we want to do because we have order here.
It's not that he didn't matter. It's more so like that's not the.
Not saying
The-
that, but just for people to understand, like
Okay,
people
yeah.
in the world and everything, like
Mhm.
you know, understanding that the father is honored here to where
Yeah.
he comes first, and then well in the decision as far as courting, and then however he want to do things. If you talk to the brothers or you go like this way, that way, whatever. But
Okay,
he
I
is
see what you're
spoken to
saying.
first, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't want nobody out there to think if somebody has a father, you can go sidetrack.
Well, that's why I specified my household. I can understand if you misconstrued it, but
You can't specify your household because even in your household, it goes to the father. He's remnant. I don't
okay.
understand why you're not, Victoria, could you help me in this one? Maybe I'm not understanding something that.
Is he saying something?
Because then too, the way I see that, we don't want people to think that people can just do whatever they please here in the remnant, to where it's like, oh well, this family do this and this family do that way. But yes, we are. But however it goes, is we have order here.
Yeah,
You know.
The thing with that is like, pops is always gonna be made aware first. So no matter if it's like any spark of maybe something intention, pops is always gonna know first.
Mhm.
Then you know what I'm saying. We already know how we move, so it's gonna be like how we all getting our huddle. Then it's like okay, how
Yeah, but just not to make it seem like we just making up rules here. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
You guys are just
But I'm
making
like,
up rules and going
Yeah,
as
like
you
we.
guys want to
But
do it.
Elijah said it right though. Like
Clarity on that.
Elijah said it like how it goes. Like you go to dad, dad
Mhm.
goes to dad. Dad says,
Stipulations.
go hang out with her brothers, spend time with her brothers, and then you guys go back to dad and say, hey,
Give him a report.
give a
Yeah.
report on it, and then he, like he said, then you come back to the key, and then now y'all gotta have that conversation. But it's not
make it
just-
clear. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but it's not just you. I got a crush on Tori, so I'm gonna go hang with the brothers, and then if no,
Yeah.
it does go through dad first,
And then,
and then
there,
dad sends you to the brothers.
Right.
there was a question as to if there's no father or brothers,
You come-
which is you go
Yeah.
to the elder, the
go to
leader,
remnant
the
and
remnant leader, the elders.
come to me.
And that's how we operate in the remnant. If somebody wants to court a woman, if a man of the remnant wants to court a woman, he has to get permission from that woman's father if she has a father. And usually they don't go to brothers, but their family is tight like that.
But it doesn't
So,
matter. You ain't in the
you
house
know,
about that
I'm
because
just
once
saying.
Eddie decides what he wants to do, that's what Eddie decides
Yes,
he
the
wants to do.
father
And I
still,
don't want Corey to get the impression that we do things differently. We don't do things differently. Once the
Right.
father makes a decision, he does what he wants to do in his household.
Mhm.
But it starts with the father. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
yes.
We don't want anybody to think that in any way Eddie could be sidetracked.
Like Dub was saying, the inception of the idea
Of-
order
right.
came from your
Yeah.
father. So
You can't,
that's what we clarify to the world.
Mm-hmm.
you
It
can't
ain't
sidetrack
out of
him.
order over here. We respect order.
Right.
This decision is from the top down.
That's right.
So yes, you gonna go see about my brothers, but that's coming from my father. That's my daddy instruction.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's period.
Got to
That's
protect the
yeah.
value of what white folks
Mhm.
in this country has stripped from us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the father, the
Right.
black man.
Because around here we make sure that there's accountability. You're not just gonna be around here trying to talk to every woman or getting to know every woman. That's why accountability is and should be at the forefront. Because just like if you call that just getting to know somebody, what's gonna happen if he want to get to know somebody else? That's why we don't operate like that. Because if you want to call it get to know, if he going to get to know somebody else in the remnant, then what? You gonna be saying what? Oh no, because he getting to know. So we got to make it plain.
Yeah.
And that's why courting is important, because courting means while you getting to know each other, you getting to know me right now. That's closed off. Me and you, we right here, right? And
And
right
he
at,
said it did go in order, Tory, even with Naya.
yes. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Oh, okay. I know who he's talking about. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Well, unpack it now since you done took it all.
So I do know what he's talking about. Because he's saying that when Dre reached out to him for consultations, I want to say that was the initial contact. And then I guess in my case, well, never mind. I'm gonna leave it at that. But okay, I see what y'all saying.
But even with the consultations, it wasn't that he reached out for the consultations, like as if it was something there of like, let me mentor your daughter just to
Get
for
at
us
her.
to be something
Right.
then, you know,
Right.
just to clarify that. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but
Yeah.
you know, that was that initial thing, although we didn't know what it was going to be, but you know, it was still some order there to where he still went to my dad first when he could have just felt like, well, as a leader, then I'm gonna just do this, you know. But again, here in the remnant, we have order, you know, and we respect that order.
You want to read what
Structure.
your courting fella is saying?
Oh my
Well,
God.
Rob, it don't matter what you saying because it needs to be what it is.
Right, well, it is.
Okay.
And I'm glad it all came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, another exercise, y'all.
What do you say?
Can I say? Oh, okay. I just want to say that I am in agreement. Thank you for the clarification because I'm pretty sure I'm confused y'all as well as myself. Is that it? I was gonna speak on something else other than now.
Yeah, you can
I know
wait.
Karaya
Okay.
also had something to say with
Okay.
Cassie
Who did?
when it was something where I think after you spoke, you say who next? Karaya and Cassie both
Yes. Who was next?
did something, but I don't know if you still feel that way.
Yes.
You still want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
If she was next, we
Should I-
need to pass it.
Is she finished?
She has something
Who?
else to speak on, but somebody else was next. So
Well, I
we
guess
need to
it
keep the order.
What? Go ahead.
You know what? No, I'm gonna go order. I'm gonna wait and circle back because this is yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That was
Yes,
fun.
thank you. Keep it remnant.
Okay, guys. So the question was, are you ready to be a wife? And I was on the Bible app and I was like, trying to see if it's a Bible verse that's actually going to match this question. And I found one, Ephesians 5:24. But as the church is subject to Christ, so also wives should be subject to their husbands in everything, respecting both their position as protector and their responsibility to God as head of the house. So if the Most High does ask you, are you ready to be a wife? Are you ready to step up to your position in their partnership? Because the man being first in the order already has a relationship with the Most High. He already got something going on. So when he's asking you, are you ready to be a wife? Are you ready to be a part of their partnership?
Come on, man.
Hello?
Are you ready to step up to your position as a woman in that order? Are you ready to let go of all those feelings, all that Jezebel spirit? Because remember, we had that class. Let go of all that Jezebel spirit and step up and be a woman? Are you ready to be that? Because it's not really just about being a wife. Are you ready to be a woman accountable to the Most High God? Are you ready to be accountable to your God with your husband?
Right.
Oh, praise.
Let's go.
So also, when I was thinking about that, because whenever you get to talking with the Holy Ghost, it ain't gonna stop unless you want it to, right? A lot of problems in marriages are because there is not structure or accountability. Neither of you guys are accountable in any way. You guys aren't operating off of structure in any order. You guys aren't being together in your marriage as one. You guys are just coming together in any kind of way. Y'all aren't coming together for partnership, for anything that the Most High wants y'all to come together about. Y'all just getting to know each other.
She's 14, guys, okay? She had to put it how she had to put it. Go ahead, Karaya. Put up there.
Because if you really think about it, any young people that get married just get married because y'all like each other a lot. Y'all think y'all found y'all soulmate, so y'all just gonna get married. Y'all ain't even finished getting to know each other. Y'all ain't courted for that whole year to figure out each other, teach each other through love. Y'all ain't found love. Y'all just think y'all in love just because y'all young. Because what happens years later, you like, well, I didn't really like you. I don't really like you now, but I liked you then. And I didn't know this part. I didn't know this side of you because we just got together at that time. We didn't get to know each other. We didn't court, and I know that y'all in the world don't have courting. So y'all didn't have that talking stage and like got together, actually got to know each other and not just trying to be the bed wench in the buck.
Yeah. Come on, Karaya.
Because and then also like you could think of this, a lot of women in the marriage, happy wife, happy life. I've already said this before. A lot of y'all men out there is just getting conquered by your lady's Jezebel spirit. Y'all not really there for the marriage though. Y'all there because of her Jezebel spirit. Y'all there because she wanted y'all to be together. It wasn't no partnership in that. The Most High ain't in that equation. Y'all just A and C, and y'all forgot B, the Most High God. Y'all like what y'all doing out there? But that's all I got to say right now.
Oh.
Okay, y'all, I'm back again. I would like to start by saying that is a representation of getting what is it? Constructive criticism in real time and bouncing back from it. So don't get in your feelings. Don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. You take that correction, you apologize in real time, and you move forward. But you don't blow it off and act like you understand. You really get it. Because I was tripping, but I get what they were saying. So wanted to say that. But to circle back to what I wanted to say as far as the topic for tonight, as Dove had brought up a good point as far as, like the happy wife, happy life. And it made me think about just bringing baggage into a relationship that you expect your man to take care of. And what I thought about was that class, I want to say She Is Woman, where, we touched heavy on the topic of as a woman, you do things for yourself that don't concern that man. And a lot of things is, just your mental health, your emotions. Like in the remnant, we as women have tasks that we're set to conquer in ourselves that we don't put off onto our men and like in the world. And so, I just wanted to share this because I something happened today we've been talking about how the remnant is going to move, like how the Most High gonna move for us this year, and there's a shift happening and things are coming. And so since we're talking about the topic of courtship with me and Rob, I will say that I've spoke on the topic as far as like the situation, the assault I went through with the mosque. And so I've talked about that. I've went into detail, the everything that is, when I first got here, that was an open wound that I had that I was looking to get over. And so in my the first relationship I had since that situation, I brought that baggage with me. And I didn't realize, looking back at the woman I am today, how much I was not ready to even date anybody else. I could barely keep myself sane. Like I was in a completely different place, and I was looking to carry that baggage of, sorry for the babies, but that baggage of being raped and just suicidal and depressed. And I'm thinking I got the nerve that because I look cute in the midst of this tornado that I got the nerve to have a man. I was chasing him away because I was putting all that baggage onto him because I brought this in. I wanted him to take care of me. So there's no way I could be a happy wife with a happy life dealing with my personal issue that he couldn't walk me through how to get over. because at this point it made him go find somebody else who was mentally sane at the time. And now I'm mad that you done cheated, but I look back like, dang, I really did put a lot on you. And so, you know, I had talked, like, that was 6 years ago. And so fast forward, the you know, the way that the Most High moves, I'm in this courtship, I'm talking to, you know, I am with a remnant man, and I get a call today from the Detroit Police Department stating that the prosecutor wants to pick up my case. And so,
Yeah. That's right. Them threes.
yeah, and so, you know, it's making me emotional because when I tell y'all I cried at work today, like it was something that I completely gave up to the Most High, the blessing of seeing what that looks like, starting a relationship with that baggage, and then the blessing of now being where I am. Thank you. And completely letting that go. And you know, as a woman, I didn't realize how important that was for. And mind you, at this point, I had spoken this story. I broke it down in different pieces, and I had just gave it up to the Most High. I didn't try to contact detectives. I didn't carry that weight. I still refer to the girl as my friend because I don't have a bit of hate in my heart for her. I have spoken out with that, saying that I have love for her, and it was like the fact that I had let that baggage go, and as women, we hold on to that so much, and we want our men to carry that. And they weren't even there. A lot of times you want them to pick up baggage that they physically was not present for because you didn't even know them, but you want to pull them down because you don't want to do the work to get out of it. And seeing that today, I was minding my business and I just happened to get a call that someone wants to pick up my case, and I wasn't even looking for. That was the Most High. And I texted my dad and I told him, I said, that man didn't pick up my case. That was the Most High saying, you know,
Let me take vengeance.
yeah, that was
Yes.
the Most High. And we touched on timing tonight, and that was just the timing of knowing that he saw the work that I was doing. And he saw that me going into this new relationship, I'm not expecting that man to pick up that baggage from me, because this is what I'm doing for myself. I'm advocating for myself. I got up to make that police report. I'm fighting. I'm backed up by the remnant, but this is something that I'm not expecting someone else to show up on behalf of me to make me feel stronger, because I'm empowered in this walk alone, you know? And so I just was blessed that knowing as an individual, I have been shed from that, and just realizing that, you know, as women, we want things to go our way. We try to stiff arm stuff, and like my sister say, having our way. And it's like, imagine if I did the Most High like that. Like if I was going up, and I realized that he waited until I was ready to receive it, because looking back, anything else I could have done would not have worked, because I had people outside in the streets asking, what you want me to do about it? And I knew that I was going to be stressed out had I had somebody pull up on them or something. Now I'm thinking, like, what did they do? Am I going to get in trouble? Now I go from being the victim to the predator, trying to make them a victim. I knew that I didn't want to stress myself out like that. I went to the police and put value into a piece of paper because I expected my detective to call me back. I went back through my emails today out of curiosity. 2022 was the last time I heard from her. She never gave me an update. She never said, and her email was so passive aggressive. I was hurt at the time. I just accepted it. Basically, it was like, we got all the emails. We got all your correspondences. We're aware your case is still open. And I'm looking now like, that was disgusting. But at the time, I was so weak, I took anything. You could have called me and left a voicemail saying nothing. And I'm like, they called my phone. But, you know, just being able to reflect and realizing that empowerment aspect of it, and where I am, and how the Most High is lining everything up to where, yes, I am courting someone, but I'm also taking this. I also have this big thing that was given to me of my own, is important, because my focus isn't about. It's not in a world where you're worried about that man and he becomes the center of your life. We're still conquering as women. I got a job to do. I told my dad it's time to get to work, you know? So it's like, whatever y'all want to do, you know, at this point. And I remember years or a few months ago when I was talking, and I remember looking in the camera saying that girl and her husband will be held accountable. And I didn't know, I didn't have a plan. I did not bother myself about it. But the fact that the call came to me let me know that God called my phone today.
Yes.
You know? So I'm gonna leave it on that note.
Oh,
But
crazy. Yes. Yeah, the microphone.
You can't be up there till after all this time and not say nothing.
She was next.
That's confirmation.
So the question, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tanya. I've been here a little over 6 months now. But the Most High had me being still for a little while so I could just absorb what the information that I was being given. So the question is, are you ready to be a wife? And my short answer is, I am ready to be whatever the Most High calls me to be, in whatever capacity, at whatever time. So to give perspective of that, I want to talk just a little bit about the salting process that I went through to get me to here. I spent 22 years in the Christian church, leading a women's ministry and spending time on the worship team. And it was my family's church. And during my salting process, I lost someone who had become a good friend of mine, my family, a lot of family members, my church. And when I say that I lost it, to me, I lost nothing in that. And I hear a lot of people speak about, I had to give up this, I had to give up that, I lost this. I lost nothing. I lost nothing because in comparison to the Most High, it is nothing at all. It is nothing. So during my salting process, I've never operated as an emotional human being. I'm very straight to the point, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If I know better, I do better. During my salting process, I experienced a totally different woman. I got to a very broken and hollowed out place where my body physically hurt. And a couple of the women know what I went through and were there for me. And I'm so grateful for the remnant women recognizing where I was and holding me through it and not rushing me through it, allowing me to get through it at the speed that I needed to get through it. But what I realized, and I believe it was Cassie, but I was listening to her talk, and what I realized is, in me being completely hollowed out where my body physically hurt, I was crying at work, I was crying at home, I couldn't even barely drive sometimes because I was so hurt. But what I know is that the Most High had completely hollowed out so that he could fill me with something different. And so in that hollowing, I then now will go back to are you ready to be a wife? And so there's scripture that in the history book that says what a man and a woman are to be to one another. And it calls a woman to honor her husband. A woman is not asked to love her husband. And part of the reason why is because in the garden, Eve was cursed with certain things. And the emotions that women have are different than the emotions that men have. And it's part of the things that were caused by happy wife, happy life. So happy wife got Adam kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Happy wife, happy life got Samson's power stripped from him. So it's not just as simple as a honey-do list like things have been destroyed. The Garden of Eden was destroyed from what it was supposed to be for Adam. It then got stripped away from him because my wife gave it to me. So yeah, cool. I'm going to eat it. So in that, if we are to be to the Most High or to our husbands as we are to be the Most High, if I was able to be completely emptied out, completely hollowed out, and to give up everything for my God, and I'm called to do the same for my husband, are you, and this is the question that I would ask anybody watching who's, wondering whether they're to move from courtship to the next step or move into courtship, whatever. Are you currently in a position where you are willing to give up any and everything that your husband asks of you? If you are not in a position where you can say, I don't care if my husband wants shorter heels or wants shorter hair, or if he wants me to speak in a certain way or wants me to shop at certain places. If you're not in a position where you can honestly say, whatever my God, whatever my husband wants, then that's when we have to be honest with ourselves and evaluate what it is that we need to be doing. Because if you're not ready to give up all of yourself, the same way that the Bible calls you to be towards your husband as you are to your God, if you're not prepared to do that, you have to evaluate. And like Tori said, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. You got to get in the classes. You got to get the information, because if you're filled with the indoctrination will tell you that, oh, he's supposed to just do these things for me. Oh, if he loves me, he'll do these things for me. But the man's called to love because that's in second nature to him. The woman's called to honor because that became part of her curse. The emotions are already there. So a woman's going to love. She's going to love because you provide for her. She's going to love because you protect her. She's going to love. That's natural to a woman. It's in their nature to nurture. What's not natural to her is to submit and be obedient because of the curse, because of how it all started out. So to me, when I look at it, when the question is asked, are you ready to be a wife? Well, are you ready to serve the Most High with everything you have? Because the answer should be the same. And that's what I got.
Good evening. Today I'm going to be speaking about a piece of my development, being a remnant woman and a remnant fiance. So Key and I have been together for 7 years, mostly in the indoctrination, living, being, and operating in worldly teachings. But now we are back to our original culture and relearning who we are meant to be. So just a little backstory. Growing up, in my household, I witnessed physical abuse, verbal abuse, and emotional abuse from my parents. And I would, with my brothers, we would go every summer to Memphis just for like summer break. And that's something that we also witnessed there too. That same spirit was in my aunt and uncle's household. And that's not to say like everything was all bad all the time, but when things got bad, it got bad. So that yelling, that harshness, that chaos, it's just something that I was always around. So naturally, it became normal to me. And it was something that I was familiar with. And when you're familiar with something, it can become like a part of who you are. So that kind of carried into my adulthood. I would have those things like rise in me, like where my tone would raise and where I would be like condescending as well, just because of what I witnessed. But just, and it felt justified to me because nobody ever told me anything until I hit the wall over here. And just because something feels justified doesn't mean it's righteous. And me learning the difference between being reactionary and then also responding. So being reactionary, you're operating from wounds. That's rooted in wounds, that's rooted in emotion, versus responding. You have that knowing, you have the wisdom. So you're not immediately trying to seek like a response back that's quick and, something that would cut deep, but instead you're taking that step back and being patient, especially when it comes to your partner, giving them that grace. And then as the Most High began like salting that out of me, I began to realize like how unsoft and how feminine that is. And it's like off-putting, not only to the man that I'm with, but also to my spirit. But it's not about like myself or Kiwante. It is about that accountability that I have to the Most High. So when I operate in my feelings and I'm being impatient or I'm operating out of like pride, it's not the Most High I'm representing. That's not a godly woman. You're not spiritually mature. You're not operating in submission and obedience. And then it's something that I was speaking to the Holy Ghost with today, actually. I had to sit there and ask myself, if every test is an opportunity for promotion, how can I expect elevation while still operating as that old woman? So to know that old woman has to die and to be perfecting yourself in every area. You can't come correct in certain areas or because you feel like it. That has to be every day consistently because the Most High, he's going to show up every day. So we need to do the same thing. Let me find, this is one of my favorite scriptures. 1 second. Okay, it's Proverbs 14:1 AMP. The wise woman builds her house on a foundation of godly precepts, and her household thrives. But the foolish one, who lacks spiritual insight, tears it down with her own hands by ignoring godly principles. That's all.
Give it back to Tanya when I ask
Oh.
the question. Because you said it publicly,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to clarify that a woman is not called to love.
Okay, so
Before you do that, I want you to overcome my response to you.
mhm.
My response is a woman is called to love, but not the same way a man's called.
I agree. So scripture does say that we are to bear with one another in love. So I believe that everybody is called to love. I believe that love does conquer everything. But what I am referencing is that the reason why Paul, when he's talking to the churches, specifically says a woman is to honor her husband and the husband is to love the woman is because those are the things that come more difficult for that sex. So a man, it is harder for him to love because if you don't respect him, his love will be turned off to you. A woman, now she don't, and the harsh part about it is a woman will learn to respect you and will respect you because of your love for the Most High and for the love that you give to her. So a woman will respect you based on those things, but a woman will love, or a man will love you based on the respect that you give to him.
Okay, so stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
How many loves are
there?
3.
Okay.
You know what they are?
I do, but I know that there's agape. I know that there's phileo, yes.
And eros.
Mm-hmm.
So when God says a man is to love the woman, he's saying agape. Like God.
He is,
And
yes.
the woman, the scripture says, is also to love the man.
Mhm.
He's saying she is to eros the man. So I want you to understand the root of the honor. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all based in love because God is love.
Yes.
There's nothing greater than love. So I just know that you said it publicly. I know you had an explanation, but I want to clarify it because I don't want people saying that the remnant is telling people that a woman is not being called to love.
Right. So
I was going to go back to the scripture because the scripture says for wives to submit to your husband as unto the Lord.
But again, the women submit out of reverence to their husbands. That's why they submit. They submit out of reverence to their God. They submit out of reverence to their husbands.
But not all the time.
They should.
Well, not all the time.
They should.
There's a couple things in there, see, because I know how sharp you are and I like challenging you. You don't make you greater than you are. So a woman is supposed to submit because of her.
Right.
Not because of him. That's a good word right there.
Especially when they say as unto the Lord.
It's never been about him. He is the beneficiary of her submission unto him.
Absolutely.
Which keeps her empowered. Which we talked about earlier. I don't know who covered it earlier about, maybe it was Tori, about being independent in her work that she has before the Most High. In the beginning, they were never above one another. He created them all equal, right?
Right.
So does she get that back through her submission?
She already had it.
I mean,
No, she didn't. She didn't have it before submission because man fell about. So what happens when they get back to where they're supposed to be? Where does she get now? Just like what does a man get?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So yes,
She does. Huh?
she does. One thing.
Remember when it says that a woman has so much power, we've done a class on this, that she can actually win an unsaved man over by her conduct.
We were just talking about that before the class. So what I said was, you can't.
What were we talking about? So the people
So me and Dove and Naya
All
were
of
sitting at the table talking. I don't know who else might have been there, but I know the three of us were sitting talking and about so it started out like this. It started out with us talking about the class, what I was going to speak about, and about how I feel differently about who can approach me and what type of game you can get at me with. You cannot come approach me with the same thing as yesterday. You can't come speak to me the same way that you did yesterday. I, being hollowed out, was created as a new person. So the way that you interact with me, there are expectations and requirements to be able to speak to me. And it's because I'm a daughter of the Most High God, because I'm a remnant woman, you have to treat me as such.
Well, broaden it out.
Okay, so
Broaden that statement out
Mhm.
because what's going on right here, I understand what you're saying, but I want you to broaden it out.
Yep.
Because again,
It's the same thing she told me.
because
Exactly what I
again,
said.
Mhm.
you keep making it about somebody else,
Right.
right? You keep making it about somebody else. You're giving too much power to a person who can approach any kind of way they want to.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you have to respond.
Well, that's where we started out with the conversation. So then the conversation did shift. So Dove referenced the exact same scripture about talking about a woman can win over the heart of a man based on how she is. And so the way that I see it now is that not only can anybody be won over by this submission and obedience, the display of it, not only can that happen, but who am I to tell the Most High how he can use me? So if I say, no, I'm not going to participate in, or I'm putting the Most High in a box, I'm telling him, you can have all of this and you can send my husband like this, but you can't send him like this. So what I moved on to is that, again, how I answered the question in the beginning of class was, now, are you ready to be a wife? I am ready to be whatever the Most High calls me to at whatever capacity that is. For me, I was so resolved in the indoctrination in my church that you couldn't move me. You could not, I would go to battle with people over and over and over again. So how much more so will I be faithful to my God, honor my God, and submitted to my God with the information I have now?
You would go to battle why?
Not necessarily battle, because I'm not going to argue with anybody anymore. But
What was the battle about? When did you feel a sense of
as if I needed to convince somebody why they should be a Christian. And here, I'm not going to convince you of nothing. You see how I am, you see how I operate, and you can come over here and get some of this love, or you don't need to. That's just what it is.
All right, so I just wanted to go ahead.
But one more thing I did want to say, that I wrote it down and I wanted to make sure that I clearly spoke about this. But when a lot of women in the indoctrination will chase the title of wife. And when you chase the title of wife, you fit the Most High into this small thing and you neglect the posture of submission to him. So when you neglect the posture of submission to him, you are not being governed. And a woman that is ungoverned by the Most High will go to war against the leadership that they pray for. So when women are out here, and I caution all of you women that are praying for a husband, I just need a leader, I just need a man, I just need a husband. Be very careful, because if you are not in position to be governed by a man and governed by the Most High, you can destroy the very thing that you're asking the Most High to give you. And when he does give it to you, you're not going to recognize it because you're not in position to recognize it. And that's all I have now.
Who's next?
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
evening,
and then Julia.
everyone. So there was a couple things that I want to touch on about the title of the class, which is, are you ready to be a wife? And looking back in, my life, yes, I thought that in the indoctrination, I was ready to be a wife, growing up in, Mexican culture. My grandparents have been together for over 60 years, 10 kids, and they're still together, but they are very unhappy, where my grandmother still resents my grandfather for all the things that he's done in the past, and just living in that, there's like no love. And so, seeing that, and then later, as an adult, seeing that, but just, also seeing my mother and being married, and then that's what I wanted. That's what I, thought that I wanted. And so, and that's what you learn. Then you get older, you become a wife and you have children. So I was already like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what's going to happen to me, And, it became unserious because of, well, I got into the lifestyle. And so then it was, yeah, I'm independent. I don't need a man. I could do it all by myself. And really got into the indoctrination, really got into the just doing what I want, whenever I want. Let me see what I wrote down. The indoctrination had me being assimilated to the script and not even knowing, right? And in that lifestyle, I could never be with a yes man or a man that says happy wife, happy life. That was laughable to me. I'm like, you's a punk. I can't be with someone like you. You ain't no man. You're gonna let me run all over you. I already knew that's not what I wanted. So I could never be with a man like that, but still being with someone like that, not knowing that that's what they are, not fully worshiping me. Because if a man is really just, I'm gonna do what she needs to do, I want to please her, it's like you're making her your God, and so just seeing that from, just living life, then it was, I don't think I want to be a wife. I don't think I want to ever be married. I'm okay with not being married. I'm content with not being married, because just seeing relationships here, especially in America, I think that's more of a happy wife, happy life is modern American saying, because like I said, growing up in the Mexican culture, you're together till death do us part. I don't care what you did or what I did to you or you did to me or whatever. We're gonna be together if you hate me until I die. They took that serious. So yeah, the happy wife, happy life thing was laughable and it didn't exist in my world. But what else did I write down? Another thing that I also was seeing that, growing up Christian, that a lot of people, they just, oh, God this, God that, I'm submitted to my God, I'm this to my God, especially the women. How can you be submitted and obedient to the Most High, who you can't see, but can't do that to your man or your husband, right? How can you say that? You're just, it's not even something serious to you. You don't believe that. Matter of fact, I don't even think you believe in God or the Most High at that point, and it goes back to the indoctrination, where I really truly believe that when I was, single and in the lifestyle, doing what I want, Miss Independent, that's where Satan wants you. He wants you to be stuck right there in that mindset, which I had, was, oh, I'm content with not being married. I'm content with not, submitting to a man, in the way that is required now here in our culture. Because before me really getting into the culture, it was like, yeah, I could be submitted. I could be a wife. I could be a good woman. I could cook and clean. I could do that, but not having respect, not honoring that man who I'm doing it for him. And it's just like, you're doing it with an attitude now. You're doing it like, oh, I guess I'll do this, or, I have to do this because I'm a woman. So that's what I have to do. Not really enjoying doing something for your husband or your man or whatever, where, depending on where you're at. And so I've noticed, the change getting my culture back, getting this information and what that really looks like, you know. Let me see what else. You know, a lot of people also get married for financial reasons. Like one thing I've noticed living out here actually years back, because I came back in October, but I noticed that a lot of military people, all they wanted to do was get married so they could get financial stability. They get paid more. You know, I remember being approached and saying, do you want to get married with me? You'll get paid this much and this much. It's like, what? You're not even taking, what? First of all, no. Right? And it's just like, that's, I can't respect somebody like that. What? That it was just laughable. You know, I can't, and people are really doing that. You know, people really just, the indoctrination, no respect of marriage at all, no honor, no nothing, you know. And so that's how a lot of people live right now. And like Dre had said, the divorce rate is really high here in America because it's just, I'll just get married. People have 3, 4 marriages, divorces, and then get married again, and then divorce, and then get married again. It's just like, it's just,
Get to know people.
yeah, you're getting to know people over and over and over again.
Thank you for
You
letting me know
know,
you. Bye.
you know, and so now being in the information, now being in the culture and just really seeing how I was, and like some of the ladies have mentioned, having that man to be able to really tell you about yourself and correct you. And sometimes, yes, it hurts. Sometimes, yes, it's like, dang, like Dove said, it's, you don't want to see yourself like that. You don't think that you're this way, you know, but that's where you need to take in the correction and correct it, not keep doing it over and over again, which I've done because I wasn't taking it serious. You know, I was being unappreciative, right? I kept changing. I wasn't staying the same. I wasn't, you know, I'll be good for a little bit, but then I'll change up again. And then I go back to my old ways, and getting pulled back to my old ways constantly over and over again, because my old way was fun. I had fun over here, you know, being independent, doing what I want to do. And like what you said, Naya, too, acting like I was single, you know, just doing things, even being in a relationship, doing things and not, you know, telling my husband that, hey, I'm gonna go do this, or you know, I think this should be like this, or anything like that. It was just, I'm gonna just go do it. And I think I'm right, and I'm justified for doing it. And I don't care what he says, I'm right. You know, I've lived like that for so long, guys. And it's been a assaulting process. It was not good because it jeopardized our relationship. It was to the point where either I get it right, or I might as well just walk out the door, you know? And because I'm not being who the Most High is requiring me to be. And I need to look at the Most High first. You know, it's just, and what some of the things that I just talked to Cassie about this. Why am I acting like this towards my husband? Would I act like this towards God? Right? Would I really, if the Most High was here right now?
He is here right now. He's been here.
Well, I'm saying, like, yes, you are right. He's been here. He's been here this whole time.
I don't see people use something that doesn't give them a certain level of discipline very easily. Like, would I do this to God? You do it all the time.
Right.
Everybody
But
does
not-
it all the time. It's easier to do it to God
Mm-hmm.
until you get this information.
That's right. Yes.
So
The
if you're
spiritual
doing it,
death.
it's because you're not committed to death.
That's right. Exactly. And I wasn't, and I didn't have that disposition about myself. Like, I'd rather die before I do something wrong or be out of bounds. you know, I just took it very like, yeah, sorry, gone, you know, like, my bad, you know, and that's a wrong and deadly way to look at things. And
God
I am-
hold you accountable right now in the human, like, when you're thinking about getting a consequence because of the behavior,
Mhm.
when you're dealing with humans, a lot of times it could be immediate.
Right,
Not with God.
right,
It shows up in your life lived.
that's right. It does, and it showed
Where you
me.
can't feel it the same. One day you wake up and you look at your life and you're like, what the heck am I doing?
That's right.
That's penalty.
Spot on right there. And it's, oh yeah, and I've definitely experienced that. And so just of doing something, just being in my feelings and reacting out of it, and just you know, like I mentioned earlier, I'd rather die before I do this, but not taking that serious. And
Like when you look back on your life, right? When you look back on your life, what is a moment or a situation that happened, right? That you was like, dang, I was tripping.
well,
I was really
so
tripping.
just to, you know, just to let you guys know that for some time I was living in Arizona for a few years, you know, and you know, D would come back and forth from time to time, and it just felt like when he would come home, it was very much just kind of like playing house, you know, being good, you know, straight up, just, you know, just doing whatever he says, being fully submitted, all that, you know. But then as soon as he leaves, I would just do whatever I want. And then I started becoming, or I started wanting to have friends that were, you know, very much in the indoctrination, and going to hang out with them and doing hot girl summer stuff and pretending I'm single, you know, and not acting like I'm in a relationship, you know, with somebody, and doing things.
We all did things in the indoctrination.
Yeah, exactly. But just saying, you know, just because I was by myself and I felt alone, I wanted to have a friend so bad that I didn't care if I did some out of bounds stuff to do that.
I want to read
Where
that.
I'm at now.
Let me read something to you real quick. And that's why the topic, even though it was that when the Holy Ghost gave me institutionalized, because it refers to the process of embedding norms or behaviors within a society.
Mhm.
So you were doing the thing that we all do, is
Yeah.
build those same things in different areas of our life, but it's the same thing. Institutions within being institutionalized, right?
Exactly.
And so then you come over here and you have to what? Build.
Yes.
Like we said earlier, it's I mean, we've all been through it. Every one of us up here has a story of having to build, not over, but building to the point where that person is no longer exists.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we said in the class before, that person no longer exists. Whoever knew you, whatever was going on before, if you with somebody, that you should be unrecognizable, and that past should be unrecognizable to you, but it is our testimony.
Right.
Right? It is our testimony.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And
So,
being able to finally get off.
To big up whatever you did in your indoctrination.
Right.
No, I'm just telling that to the people out there who have been in similar situations. Right.
We all did all kinds of stuff.
Most definitely.
Most definitely, yes.
Yeah.
So the difference is, and then we're gonna let Julia, because it's getting late. The difference is,
And Kiana.
like I said, now that you're going through the salting process,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are being helped by the structure. You're being helped by that,
Yes.
right? But you can't view yourself through your errors of yesterday. You gotta let them go.
Oh yeah.
You gotta let them go.
Yeah.
Right? And you gotta prove who you are today.
Yes.
That's how you prove who you are today, by overcoming who you were yesterday.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
up in your face. You know that person very well.
Oh, most
That
definitely.
person who was having a whole bunch of fun.
That's right.
But in this remnant, once you become remnant, you realize that it wasn't fun at all.
No.
But that was a lie. Because the greatest fun is underneath this obedience and submission. How do I know? Because the Most High says, in the presence of God, there is fullness of joy, and on his right hand, pleasures forevermore. The enemy will never, ever be able to dictate fun, joy, pleasure in the presence of the Most High God.
That's right.
Now you're having fun.
Yes.
Yes.
All
All
praises.
praises. And just to wrap up,
We're gonna, Julie is next when you're done.
Or quote, I didn't get here through my successes.
Yeah, I got through my failures.
failures.
yeah,
So I need you to
Go
vote.
I'm
ahead,
here.
Janet.
I'm
need
here.
you to vote your back, hold yourself accountable, and understand that now the accountability is different than it was before.
Yes,
Why? Because the eyes of the Lord are running and seeing everything that you are doing.
that's right.
And so what happens is now that you are a remnant, that you got this information,
Mhm.
now you have to decide if you're going to be, who read the scripture, the woman who builds her house, who read that?
Sam,
Or the woman who tears it down with her own hands. Now you become empowered.
that's right.
You thought you had power in the world because you were single and you were doing what you want to do. You didn't have any power. You had misery. But I can tell you what, God is giving you back power. He said, I'm giving you so much power that you can build this house all by yourself.
That's
You
right.
can tear your own house down all by yourself.
Yep.
So begin to view yourself in your now, but just understand there's a different level of accountability for you, because Dee's a different man too. He got accountability, right? So
Right.
view yourself to who you are right now. Hold yourself accountable. Let that person go with all those failures and all those whatever, let them go. And decide that you're not that anymore. You
Definitely. That
can't do it
person's
for
dead. Mhm.
you have to decide it. You have to want it. You have to love it. And you
Yes.
have to fight more than anything in the world to let anything pull you back to your yesterdays. That's on you.
That's right. That's right. And you have to keep on fighting every day.
We're running in.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna be quick, but so I feel like I was kind of sitting back and thinking about it a little bit too much. I was kind of beating myself up about it because I wanted to sound I wanted to be, how do I say it? Anyways, besides the point, I was like, I'm gonna let just let the Holy Ghost just come to me and let it flow organically. But one thing I didn't want to talk about was just the question was being, are you ready to be a wife, right? Now, are you ready to be a wife? Being okay, in the remit, you have to have accountability, right? So you got to look at it like, how do I put it? Come on, Lord, give it to
Time,
me.
daughter. Good time and relax.
How is he giving it to me? We're gonna go a whole different way. So you have to, in order to be a wife, you have to be willing, right? You have to be willing to align yourself with the man that you're with, right? The way you would align yourself with the Most High. Let's just put it like that. For me,
I'll tell you, you're not ready to be a wife if you don't have faith, you don't have trust, and you don't value, right? So to me, my like how do I put it? I'm very intentional with my relationship, right? So I'm intentional to align myself with his values, with what he wants, right? Or what he requires of me to be as a woman, right? You have to look at it too as how can I say it? You got to look at it like, I think I wrote it down real quick. Give me 1 second. Mm. Mm. Let me let it flow. So with me, I'm in a relationship, or I'm courting with somebody in the remnant, and I when I was in the indoctrination, I used to allow my my virtue to I allowed myself to not be a virtuous woman. Let's just put it like that, right? I allowed a lot of things, like if corrections would try to come to me, I'd be like, I had a rebuttal for it, right? In my relationship now, I'm learning to be a content woman and not a complaining one. Because I used to do that a lot. I used to complain about a lot of things, and Dove knows, like my mama knows, so I would come to her complaining about a lot of different things. So I'm learning to be content and not a complaining wife, right? Not only because you're accountable, but by me being a complaining person that I used to be, I wasn't realized in my past relationships I was tearing down that household, right? Because now I'm making it publicly, and I'm allowing other people to come in and see things, right? So with now, with me protecting that now, I'm very intentional and not just if I allow anybody in my relationship, that with that being said, like, just saying whatever's going on in your household, you have to be very wise about what you're saying as well. Because you can tear down, your kingdom, right? And you can not make your guys' relationship look bad, but there's a verse I'm gonna pull up really quick that I wanted to say. It's Proverbs 12:4. A good wife is her husband's pride and joy, but a wife who brings shame on her husband is like cancer in his bones. Because marriage makes two people one flesh, right? So you can the wife's act this is what I wrote down. The wife's actions intimately affect the husband's life both publicly and privately. A wife has significant power to either build up or break down her husband, right? Like Sammy was saying, which was in Proverbs 1, right? You could either, tear down your household or build it up, like Queen Vashti did to King Xerxes, right? When he had told her basically to, what was it? He told her to present herself, right? Present herself. And she was basically like, no. Like, okay, now you're not gonna be here. So what I'm saying is just, yeah, you got to, that was funny though. She really she was like, yeah, no. And now you held a banquet with other women, and now you got them looking like, oh, well, now I can do the same thing. Or it's like, hold on, what you doing? But now you lost your position. So what I'm trying to say is you got to protect your relationship. You got to be willing to really put, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a specific word. Give it to me. Use another one. Just you just got to protect your relationship, right? And then just remember that what you say as well and what you put out there, it can affect your kingdom. Just don't knock it down.
Yeah. Yes, got it. Kiana, let me see. You want to go real quick, Kiana?
About 7 minutes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kiana. Give us a little something.
A little something.
A little something. A little razzle dazzle.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to make it quick. But I wanted to start off a little bit in the past. I was gonna talk about the household I grew up in. Grew up with a single mom, and it was like an all girls house. So the topic of getting married, being a wife, that was non-existent in my household or household I grew up in. And I only started thinking about that probably at the end of high school, maybe when I started to get into like actually have the idea of getting into like guys and everything. But at that time, I think I was going into the bedwench spirit. That's when it majorly started. So that was conflicting itself. But even before that, in the world, I was thinking about all the wrong things. And like Auntie said over here, I was not looking at self at all. I was worried about what my partner would look like or what I want in my partner or just everything wrong. Or like, when will I get married? I'm never going to get married. Just wrong things. But I'm not thinking about what I need to work on to be a wife. But and how I learned about relationships and everything was like media and everything. So that itself was trash. So moving forward and going into the information, at that point, I wasn't really thinking about the whole being a wife thing anymore. Although it was a topic in the information, of course, I want to be a wife one day. That's something that I didn't say I never wanted. It wasn't in my head. I'm thinking about, because when I got into the information, that salting process just kicks in like that. So I'm not thinking about getting married right now. I'm thinking about all the things that are getting stripped out of me from the Most High. I'm not thinking about all that. And so even meeting my husband, I told you in previous testimonies that he's a guy that I wasn't really used to. And I used to write in my journal all the time, like, whoever's gonna be his wife, good luck. Cause he's a lot. He is a lot. I literally used to write that down all the time. Turns out, but I'm really happy. But it's just funny. It's just really funny. But being information, I will say that I thought I knew in the world. I romanticized kind of the idea of being a wife as well because of the media and everything. So being in information and actually now getting to that point of marriage, I thought I knew what it encompassed, but I just didn't know. I didn't know everything. So currently right now, I feel like being where I am married and everything, I definitely am still learning a lot of things. I just learned like a few weeks ago about the whole you gotta know when to switch on and off the wife and partner. I just learned about how we create the space, us women, we create the space in our home. I didn't know those things. Those things literally just hitting me right now, pretty late. So I just wanted to be real and just say that I am currently still learning to be a wife. And when that came to me about being a wife, I thought I was ready. That's my answer. I thought I was ready. I thought I knew what it literally encompassed, but we're still learning today. So we're still learning to this day. But the Most High, I'm really happy He saw me and put me in this position I am today, because He put me in this position when I wasn't even thinking about it, but He knew that I encompassed what is needed to be a wife in the remnant. So all praises. Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful.
All praises.
Really, really quick. I was gonna say, because Kiana said that she learned too late. It's not that it's too late, it's right on time, because our point of references contribute to our testimonies. And so when you internalize it as if it's too late or you should have been new, like the importance of us speaking out is that every single moment led us there. And so when worlds have worlds, it's like, it was just on my spirit, like, no, that this is where we should be, because everything, like everything you just spoke on, if you felt like it was too late, it would sort of discredit what was laid, like the foundation that was laid to get there. So that's it.
Right, and that is so true. That's right. Because it's a testimony, right? And that's another whole part of building, right? And it's building trust. Because again, we go back to Proverbs 12:4-6. A virtuous and excellent wife, worthy of honor, is the crown of her husband, right? And when we look at that as remnant, we're not reading this looking at our husband as if this is what he makes us. We're looking at what makes us that person, right? And so, closing out, let's remember, a virtuous and excellent wife, worthy of honor, is the crown of her husband. All praises. Good night. Thank you.